Why are you always tired after 50? Here is the answer no doctor told you. Did you know that right now, inside every single cell in your body, there are tiny power plants working around the clock to keep you alive? They are called mitochondria. And here is something your doctor has probably never told you. After the age of 50, you can lose up to 50% of your mitochondrial function, silently, gradually, without a single warning sign, until one day you wake up exhausted, your muscles ache for no reason, and your brain feels like it is wrapped in cotton wool. And here is the part that really surprised me after 30 years in clinical practice. This is not just the normal aging your doctor might shrug off. It is measurable, it is reversible, and the tools to fix it are not locked inside a prescription bottle. Today we are going to talk about exactly what mitochondria do, why they degrade after 50, which everyday habits quietly destroy them, and what specific steps, backed by published research, can help restore your cellular energy from the inside out. We will dive into all of that in today's episode. I am Dr. Alexander Wellrich. I have spent 3 decades sitting across from patients, people just like you, who came in feeling drained, heavy, and older than their years. And time and again, when we looked deeper, the answer was not in their cholesterol numbers or their blood pressure. It was in their cells. Mitochondrial health is one of the most under-discussed topics in mainstream medicine. But the research is there, solid, peer-reviewed, and growing every year. My job today is to translate it into plain English so you can actually use it. If you find this kind of honest, science-backed conversation useful, I would love for you to subscribe. It helps this channel reach more people who need this information. Now, let us get into it. Think of your body as a city. Mitochondria are the power grid. Every move you make, every thought you think, every heartbeat, all of it runs on a molecule called ATP, which stands for adenosine triphosphate. You can think of ATP as the electrical current your body runs on, and mitochondria are the plants that generate it. Now here is what makes this fascinating. Mitochondria are not just passive generators. They also regulate what scientists call apoptosis, controlled cell death. They signal inflammation. They manage calcium inside your cells. In other words, they are far more like a city's control center than a simple power plant. When they work well, everything hums. When they fail, the whole system starts to flicker. A landmark paper published in the journal Nature Reviews Molecular Cell Biology described mitochondrial decline as a central driver of the aging phenotype, meaning it is not just one thing that goes wrong with age. It is the thing that triggers many of the others: muscle weakness, cognitive fog, slower immune response. All of these have been linked to mitochondrial dysfunction in study after study. Now the good news, and I want you to hold on to this. Mitochondria have a remarkable quality called biogenesis. That is just a science word for the ability to grow new mitochondria. Your cells are not stuck with what they have. With the right inputs, you can actually build more of these power plants. And we will talk about how to do exactly that. But here is where it gets even more interesting, because age is not the only thing attacking your mitochondria. Some of the most common habits of daily life are doing far more damage than any birthday ever could. Let me show you what I mean. 5 everyday habits that are quietly draining your cellular battery. The first is chronic sitting. I know, everyone tells you to move more. But the reason is deeply cellular. A study published in the Journal of Physiology found that prolonged physical inactivity triggers what researchers called mitochondrial fission. That is, when your mitochondria essentially fragment and become less efficient. Think of it like a high-performing engine that starts breaking into spare parts when it sits unused for too long. The second destroyer is poor sleep. During deep sleep, your brain cells actually shrink slightly, allowing a kind of cerebral housekeeping system, called the glymphatic system, to flush out cellular debris. When you cut that process short, oxidative waste accumulates around your mitochondria and impairs their function. Research from the University of Rochester found that even one night of poor sleep can increase the markers of mitochondrial stress in brain tissue. The third is ultra-processed foods. Now, I am not here to lecture you about your diet, but I do want to explain the mechanism. Your mitochondria require specific micronutrients, particularly B vitamins, magnesium, and coenzyme Q10, to complete the energy cycle. Ultra-processed foods are largely stripped of these nutrients. So even if you are eating enough calories, your mitochondria may be functionally starving for the raw materials they need. The fourth is chronic psychological stress. Cortisol, your body's primary stress hormone, directly suppresses mitochondrial biogenesis. A study in psychoneuroendocrinology showed that individuals with high perceived stress had measurably shorter telomeres and more oxidative damage in their mitochondrial DNA than those with lower stress levels. This is not soft wellness talk. It is hard biochemistry. And the fifth? This one surprises most people. It is excessive alcohol consumption. Even moderate to heavy drinking interferes with the mitochondrial electron transport chain, which is essentially the final step in ATP production. Think of it as throwing sand into the most sensitive part of your engine. A few years ago, I saw a patient. I will call her Margaret. She was 63 years old, a retired schoolteacher from Cincinnati, Ohio. She came in describing what she called a tiredness that sleep cannot fix. Her labs looked normal. Her doctor had told her she was just getting older. When we looked at her lifestyle, the picture was clear. She was sedentary, relying on packaged foods for convenience, sleeping poorly, and carrying years of low-grade stress from a difficult divorce. Her energy was not failing because she was old. It was failing because her mitochondria had been deprived of what they needed for years. We did not put her on a complex drug regimen. We started with targeted nutritional support, a simple movement routine, and sleep hygiene adjustments. Within 8 weeks, Margaret told me she felt, in her words, like someone turned the lights back on. I share her story not to promise miracles, but to show you how quickly the body may respond when given the right support. Now that we understand what is draining your cellular battery, let us talk about how to recharge it. And some of these answers genuinely surprised me when I first saw the research. What the research says about rebuilding your cellular energy system. The single most well-documented trigger for mitochondrial biogenesis, new mitochondria growth, is exercise. Not necessarily intense exercise. A paper in the journal Cell Metabolism showed that even moderate aerobic activity activates a protein called PGC1 alpha, which essentially acts as the on switch for building new mitochondria. Even brisk walking 3 to 4 times per week may meaningfully support this process in adults over 50. There is also growing evidence around time-restricted eating, sometimes called intermittent fasting. When your cells are temporarily deprived of incoming fuel, they activate a recycling process called autophagy. Autophagy literally means self-eating. Your cells begin to break down and recycle damaged components, including dysfunctional mitochondria. A study from the Salk Institute found that mice fed within a restricted daily window had significantly healthier mitochondria than those with around-the-clock food access. Human research is still building, but the early signals are promising. Cold exposure is another area gaining serious scientific attention. Brief cold showers or cold water immersion may stimulate the production of brown adipose tissue, a specialized fat that is unusually rich in mitochondria and generates heat through a process called thermogenesis. A study published in PLOS One found that regular cold exposure increased mitochondrial density in muscle tissue. Now, I want to be clear. Jumping into a frozen lake is not something I am prescribing. But a cool shower to finish your morning routine? That may be doing more good than you realize. The nutrients your mitochondria cannot live without, and where to find them. Let us talk nutrition without the pseudoscience. There are a handful of specific compounds that the research supports for mitochondrial function. The first is coenzyme Q10, or CoQ10. Your body produces it naturally, but production may decline significantly after age 40. CoQ10 sits directly inside the mitochondrial membrane and is essential to the energy production process. A review in the journal Nutrients found that CoQ10 supplementation was associated with improvements in energy and physical performance in older adults. The second is magnesium. This mineral is a cofactor in over 300 enzymatic reactions, many of which take place inside your mitochondria. The CDC has estimated that a large portion of American adults do not meet the daily recommended intake for magnesium. Leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, and dark chocolate are all good dietary sources. Third is NAD+, or nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. This molecule is so central to mitochondrial function that researchers at Harvard Medical School have called its decline serious, one of the primary causes of age-related disease. NAD+ levels naturally drop with age. Niacinamide, a form of vitamin B3, is one precursor that may support NAD+ levels, and it is found in chicken, turkey, and legumes. And finally, and this one is underappreciated, alpha-lipoic acid. It is both water and fat-soluble, which is unusual for an antioxidant. That means it can neutralize oxidative damage in a wider range of cellular environments than most antioxidants. Spinach, broccoli, and organ meats are natural sources. As always, please consult your doctor before adding any new supplement to your routine, especially if you take medications. We are almost at the practical steps, the actual things you can start doing today. But first, let me share one more insight that I think will completely change the way you approach your daily routine. Your thoughts and your mitochondria are in constant conversation. This may be the most surprising section of today's video. Emerging research in a field called psychoneuroimmunology, I will spare you the Latin, basically it is the study of how the mind and body communicate, has shown that psychological states have direct, measurable effects on mitochondrial health. A groundbreaking study from Columbia University found that people with a strong sense of purpose and positive social connections had higher mitochondrial enzyme activity compared to those who reported chronic loneliness and low life satisfaction. The research team concluded that psychological well-being may literally fuel your cells. This connects to something I have always believed after 30 years working with patients. The body does not separate the emotional from the physical. Chronic loneliness, which affects an estimated 1 in 3 adults over 50 in the United States, according to the AARP, may be as metabolically damaging as a poor diet. Human connection, purpose, and meaning are not soft lifestyle extras. They are, in a very real cellular sense, medicine. Here is what you can actually do, starting today. Move for 20 to 30 minutes most days. It does not have to be intense. A brisk walk around your neighborhood, gardening, a gentle bike ride. The goal is consistency, not performance. Aim to activate PGC1 alpha, not to run a marathon. Try a simple eating window. If it is medically appropriate for you, consider eating within a 10 to 12-hour window each day, say from 8 in the morning to 8 in the evening. This allows your cells a rest period to run autophagy and clean house. Audit your magnesium intake. Add at least 1 magnesium-rich food to your daily meals, a handful of pumpkin seeds, a serving of dark leafy greens, or a small square of dark chocolate at the end of the day. End your shower with 30 to 60 seconds of cool water. Not ice cold, just cool. Consistent, not extreme. That is the principle throughout everything I am sharing today. Protect your sleep as seriously as you protect your heart. Aim for 7 to 8 hours. Keep your bedroom cool and dark. Avoid screens for 1 hour before bed. If sleep is chronically difficult, please discuss it with your physician. Invest in human connection. A phone call with a friend, a community group, a volunteer activity. The research supports it as cellular medicine, not just good advice. What you now know that most people your age do not. Let us bring it together. Mitochondria are your body's energy foundation. After 50, they naturally decline, but that decline is not a sentence. It is a starting point. The research is clear that movement, strategic nutrition, quality sleep, managed stress, and genuine human connection all support the restoration of mitochondrial function. Not as miracle cures, but as consistent compounding inputs into a system that is biologically designed to respond. My mentor's motto, which I have carried through 30 years of practice, is this: give the body what it needs, remove what is harming it, and be patient. Cellular change is not immediate, but it is real. If today's conversation was useful to you, I would genuinely appreciate a like and a subscription. It takes 2 seconds for you, and it helps this channel reach more people who could benefit from this kind of honest information. Leave a comment below, I read every one, and let me know, which of these 6 steps do you think you will try first? In our next video, we are going to go even deeper. we will look at the specific role of gut health in mitochondrial function, and why the trillions of bacteria living in your digestive system may hold the key to your energy levels. You will not want to miss it. Until then, take care of yourself, from the inside out.